This is Out Loud and Laughing. What is up, Chosen Fam? Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Today, we are stepping out of the mundane and straight into a fever dream. If you've ever wanted to sip a martini while unraveling a gruesome supernatural mystery in a 1920s Spanish colonial mansion, honestly, who hasn't? Then you are in for a real treat because today we're joined by the mastermind of the macabre, a man who has been transforming the LA nightlife scene for over a decade with everything from true crime dining to theatrical haunt legends. He is the writer, director, and producer behind the upcoming surrealist queer immersive play, Monster Party. Please welcome the visionary himself, Mr. Matt Torrado. Hello, sir.
Wow, that is such a generous intro. Oh my God.
Well,
I'm
we are
just
size
doing my
kings, so we're
thing.
quite generous.
Yeah. Listen, your resume just did it all the work for us,
It's
okay?
true.
Okay, well, listen, I'm trying to be better at like accepting compliments and
Take the
accepting the
flowers.
flowers, you know?
Take the flowers.
I
Yeah.
agree. Well, we are so excited to have you on, Matt. We have a lot to deep dive into.
Yeah.
John, take it away because I know we have stuff we want to just jump right into.
We
Yeah.
do. And so, Matt, like
Perfect.
we said, we're super pumped to have you. And we've been diving into your history with Drunken Devil and To Live and Dine in LA or Die in LA. You've been doing this for over 10
Please.
years now. Parentheses.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for over 10 years now, nearly a decade. So, looking back at those early themed warehouse parties, what's the moment you realized you weren't just throwing a party, but curating and creating a new kind of theater?
God, I mean, let me see. I guess it sort of started, 2015 was when Drunken Devil like started. It was actually a haunted house. I started my career making haunted houses, which is a very niche specific thing. But I was in this like haunt industry, as you call it. And I did a big haunted house in 2015. And it had a bar at the end, obviously, Drunken Devil. And the haunted house was like a massive failure. I lost like $50,000. I was 24 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, just max out the credit cards, just do this and like put something up. But there was a bar with interactive characters at the end, and that was really popular. So I sort of took that. 2016 was a period of experimentation of like, what does this weird themed warehouse experience look like? It was a mess, but it was great, and people liked it. And I was like, okay, how do I make this into my thing? Anyone can do a themed party, but how do I make this distinctly my own? And so I'd say in 2017, when I started incorporating narratives and sort of like overarching stories throughout the party with these characters. So instead of just having like themed characters that are roaming around, could actually engage with them and piece together a story. So I'd say 2017, after a couple of years of trial and error, when I sort of started integrating narratives, and then it sort of blew up from there. Blew up. I'm not going to say blew up. It started gaining traction from there.
I mean, taking even a step back, like you've worked with massive names like Cirque du Soleil and LA Opera, but obviously your new project, Monster Party, it feels incredibly personal. And I think you mentioned it's an authentic to your deranged inner creative. Where does that deranged inspiration come from, Matt?
God, I have no idea. I've always been kind of a weirdo. I grew up I'm an only child, so I had a lot of time to myself. When I was young, I grew up in a conservative Christian household. So, I was very much in the closet for all of my childhood up until college when I came out. But I watched a lot of a lot of old TV reruns, and two specific ones that I can remember. I Love Lucy was huge. And then
Mm.
The Twilight Zone was huge. These two very like mid-century series. And I feel like the more I think about Monster Party and the more I think about the type of storytelling that I'm doing now, even a little bit when I was doing Drunken Devil, but mostly now I can sort of like go back to that point. And, I was watching, like, I was doing all the Universal monsters. I grew up with that. I grew up with Alfred Hitchcock. So it was all the like classic sort of like genre pieces that sort of have laid the groundwork for modern horror is what I grew up on. And so, but you mix that with like I Love Lucy and MASH and all of these sort of old sitcoms. So
I
it
was
was a weird childhood, but it all came together.
I was such a Nick at Night kind of guy too.
Same.
I loved Lucy so much. I really responded to it also because Brian and I grew up in Florida and we have this Cuban
Oh.
background. So Ricky Ricardo,
Oh, yeah.
just reminded me of some of my family members. I'm curious, where did you grow
Mhm.
up?
I grew up here in LA, born
Yeah.
and
Wow,
raised. Yeah,
that's rare.
a unicorn, very rare. I don't know very many people that have actually grown up here. I think all my friends are from out of state. It's crazy
Do
how
you
few of
think
us are
that
here.
maybe some of that movie magic and growing up around it, like, inspired some of the derangedness or just the like for the unordinary?
Totally. I growing up around showbiz, movies were a huge thing for me. I was always enamored. Who didn't if you were living in LA and growing up in LA? But I also went to all the theme parks. And I also sort of experienced, we had Disneyland annual passes when I was younger. And so we would go every Friday. My dad worked in Orange County. So my mom would drive me and we'd meet my dad and go to Disneyland. So of course I was very much like enamored by this sort of themed world and Haunted Mansion and all of that. And then Universal Studios, when it was slightly jankier than it is now. They had,
But it was
it was
fun.
when it was fun. And when it was fun. No shade to no shade to the Minions or any of that, but,
Yeah.
um, it going to those places and experiencing that, definitely had something to do with it. Yeah.
So that helps with the movie part, but what part of your childhood made you go, "Yeah, I wanna make people a little uncomfortable and very entertained?"
I have no idea. I
Yeah.
feel like I was just it was ju I have no idea. I've always just been like a weird kid. I mean, I loved Halloween. I loved all these weird things. I think it's just like uh, nature versus nurture thing. I think it was just in my nature to just be a little weirdo. And then it took me a long time to embrace that and to roll with it. But I'm glad that I did, but I truly could not pinpoint a moment. It was just, I was always a little weird kid.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of relate to that, and that's super funny because, like, it's just taking me back to my childhood when you say stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yes.
Because I think
Yeah.
about, like, Halloween.
Hmm.
I think about, like, sort of like ho these holidays that allowed us to kind of be a little bit more flamboyant, and I don't mean that, like, so much more in an effeminate way, I mean that sort of in, like, a express yourself way, and
Exactly. Yeah.
so, um, can you tell us, I don't know if this is, like, the most, sexy segue, but, like, I'm interested to sort of hear, a little bit about Monster Party in general, if you can sort of set that up for us and
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, 2024, we won a little bit to 2020, very top of 2020. Drunken Devil was thriving. At the beginning of the year, I had 5 events lined up for the entire year. I had a sponsor that was getting ready to give me thousands of dollars, and then, COVID happened, so that completely went out the window. Everything that I had sort of worked for was just butchered by COVID. And then I tried, 2021, 2022, I tried to sort of revive the brand, revive the stories, do some virtual events. I made, like, an audio drama that was meant to be interactive, but none of it was, like, working for me, none of it, and when it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for an audience, so that kind of just died, and then 2022, 2023, I wasn't doing any work, I was not producing any theater, and then I'd say mid-2024, I was having dinner with some friends, and they were just encouraging me to, like, "Just put something up, like, do something small, like, get something out there," and I don't know where this idea came from. I feel like I was noodling on, uh, writing something McCarthyist era adjacent. And then I just did a small proof of concept in October, and it worked. It sold out, and it was a 2-night thing. And then I spent all of 2025 fundraising for it for the Fully Realized show, and that leads us to now doing it for 8 shows instead of 2. But it was just a story that I wanted to tell. 2024 also Fellow Travelers came out, and I
Mhm.
loved that, and I felt like that was that sort of pushed me to, like, "Oh, this is a story that's, like, relevant right now, like, maybe we should explore this impulse. And then, of course, right after the proof of concept, the election happened. So I felt like it was even more relevant. Yeah, sorry, long-winded, but that's sort of where it started.
No, it's exactly what I think our audience yearns for is the long-winded. That's why they podcast, Matt.
Great.
Um,
Also, I'm so sorry. So many of my answers are just like, I thought about it and I wanted to do it, or like it's just something that happened to me. Like I
That's
don't.
how this podcast started, Matt. So it's the same
Great,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's just
You're
if an
sort of
idea
preaching.
hits me, I want to do it, and then I do
a
it. So
and I think what's really special about this pod particularly is Brian and I really try to lean into, there's obviously we all have our backstories, right? But we really want to highlight like all of the thriving happen in our community and across every genre. Like, look at you, like, sort of trusting your gut and finding what entertains you because when you're authentic and you're happy, it's going to just relate to who it is you're trying to project that onto, that entertainment and
totally,
happiness. So it's so
totally.
relevant and your long-windedness is welcomed. So
Very
Great,
welcome.
great, 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 great. But
Anything
yeah, it's
long is
just
welcomed here.
yeah.
hey.
Hey.
But
Um,
absolutely, yeah. It just felt authentic to me. I just wanted to do it, so I did it, and I used. I worked with a lot.
And it's so timely. I love that. So the performance itself takes place in LA at a restaurant. What's the name of the vicinity?
It's called Rita House.
Rita House in Los Angeles. However, the play itself takes place in Washington, D.C. And I think with the timeliness of everything going on in D.C.
Oh
and the
yes,
backdrop of this story having McCarthyism as a layer and sort of this whole tie into the Lavender Scare from the 80s, this feels like such a specific, poignant choice for a surrealist cocktail party.
yeah.
Why was it important for you to weave those specific pieces of queer history to show that it's like there's also this to shock the audience? Like, what do you think, like, what was that about for you?
Here's another one where it's just like I think that's just my storytelling style.
Yeah.
And when I was doing Drunken Devil, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the events, a lot of the stories were very rooted in. Sometimes they would highlight serious issues, but it was a lot more like fantasy horror than this. There's a case to be made about, what's the most accessible way to tell a story that's really difficult to digest and using humor, making it a little bit more heightened and absurd. So I guess there's that element to it, but also I just like fucking crazy, campy stuff. And I think that's
Mhm.
just the best way that I'm able to tell my stories. I was rehearsing with one of my actresses the other day and she just brought up cartoon brain. I'm like, "Oh, that's exactly what I have and what we're all trying to do here." It's like cartoon brain. It's like this is a zany sort of madcap experience, which allows audiences to let their guard down enough to be brought into this world and then to have fun and to laugh. And then all of a sudden you're in this situation where you're like, "Oh, this is horrible. Why am I
Right.
laughing about this?" And I think that also ties into the sort of larger narrative arc of Monster Party, or in a sort of meta way, who are the monsters? Is it these characters? Is it the Baroness and her staff? Is it the audience? Who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. I do, but like who's to tell? So it's up to the audience to discern that. But I just like fun, weird,
Mhm.
stupid, cartoony storytelling. It feels right to me.
Well, I think what I particularly love is that LGBTQIA content is becoming so dynamic and so unique that we can
Mhm.
now start to, not to use the verb again, but really weave it into these other experiences that we've
Mhm.
known. We have a guest and a really great member of our chosen family. Her name is Miss Bouvier. She's a drag queen down in Fort Lauderdale, and her and Susie Toot, if you're familiar from Drag
Yeah,
Race,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they released a movie last year on Hulu called Big Easy Queens, and it is horror camp. Takes
Mhm.
place in the bayou. Totally recommend checking it out.
Yeah.
It's funny,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's just this idea that like as gay men, we're not all fashion. We're not all what like is stereotypically gay. Like we can be horror and deranged and love to entertain uncomfortably when it comes to sort of like having audiences. So it's just fascinating. And I love that you are literally embracing this as a profession. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's just the more we tap into our most authentic selves, however strange or deranged that is, I think that's when I love just doing that. I feel like that's when I'm the most true to myself. And I feel like as queer people, that's sort of what we're meant to do. We're meant to just like embrace our most authentic selves and show that. And it's scary often and it's difficult often, but I feel like it's the most rewarding when you do. And whatever, even if it's just you living your life, it doesn't have to be in a career or a practice or anything. Yeah, I just think that's really important if we are to continue to thrive in this forever, whatever hellscape this this is.
I mean, there's two things that gays need to stick to is authenticity and an experience. And I want to talk about the experience a little bit, Matt, because guests are entering the home of the Baroness for 2.5 hours. And they're not sitting there watching a show. They are the show, right? So for our chosen fam who might be immersive theater virgins like John and I, how might they actually have to participate? Can they just sit in the corner and watch the chaos? Or is someone going to make them play the game?
What I sort of loved about old Drunken Devil shows was that it was sort of an engage at your own experience. If you wanted to talk to the characters and put the story together, you could. If you just wanted to sort of party, you could and sort of watch everything unfold. Monster Party is the same sort of concept, but I've amped it up a little bit. So people come in, there's a little bit of a show to sort of kick it off, and then you're just let loose. So you can engage with the characters, you can sit on the sidelines with a drink. The show will happen in front of you, but if you want to engage and you want an extra sort of layer of storytelling, you can really sort of dig in deeper with the characters. You might get pulled into a different room for an experience. There's multiple sort of tracks that are happening simultaneously that queue up and tee up different things. But you don't have to necessarily go deep in order to get the full story. So I designed it for sort of newcomers that just wanted to dip their toes into immersive theater and sort of have some drinks, play some party games, have some fun, watch something unfold. But there's enough material if you really want to dive to do so. So it's just kind of a free roaming sort of sandbox style is what it's called, where you're just sort of let loose and you can engage as you will. But yeah, even if you're a wallflower and this is your first show and you're nervous about it, you can come and there will be plenty for you to do and see.
So, Matt, for the New York in me, I went to Sleep No More many, many
hmm
years ago, but this sounds more immersive even than that. Is that fair?
Um, I feel like Sleep No More is one of the like grandfathers of immersive.
Yeah?
I feel
Okay.
like that is different in that you weren't necessarily engaging. You weren't talking, right? You had a mask
You were just
on.
walking around.
You were just walking around, sort of piecing things together. So same, but different. I like to call this like immersive party theater because you
Mm.
are in a party. You're still having fun. You're still sort of engaging, but you could get pulled into different rooms. You could have those sort of Sleep No More-esque experiences. Also, a mechanic of this show that's extremely important that I forgot to mention was that um, guests are encouraged to speak with one another. This is sort of like gossip by the punch bowl thing really helps to drive the narrative as well. So if you're a newcomer and you're with a group and someone in your group gets taken, they can fill you in on what's happening. You can get more information from another character and sort of piece that together. So um, yeah, I forgot to say that. But it's yeah, so it's a little bit more flowing, more engaging, chatty than Sleep No More, but definitely sort of course, within the same vein as that.
Well, if you ever have room for 2 podcast co-hosts to cameo, we're happy to be, we're happy to be punchbowl gossips for you. Um, but, I love how the show explores systems like capitalism and patriarchy, and I think it's ironic that that's what turns us into monsters. But without giving too much away here, how do you take these heavy socio-political themes and make them feel campy or lurid rather than like a history lecture?
we're going to see if it works.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll find out.
I
We'll find
love
out.
that.
There is so much in rehearsal. I'm cackling and my actors and I are just laughing at this. And then I'm just thinking to myself, is this going to work? Are people going to roll with this, or are they just going to get really, offended or very, flustered by this? I don't know what the result's going to be. Because it is and there are really intense moments. When we did our first read through with our cast, they were visibly uncomfortable with some of the scenes that were unfolding. So who knows? But
That's
again, it's told
awesome.
through that sort of like heightened way. So at the end of the show, I want people to feel distressed and disturbed, but also, it's fun. It's fun and weird.
Awesome.
We'll
I
see.
love it, Matt. We are now going to segue into our other segment of our podcast that we do with all of our guests. And we need to get to the real important stuff. We need to see how your brain works when you don't have a 2.5 hours to build a narrative. It's time to strip away the Baroness and the lavender scare and get down to the man behind the leopard print. So it's time for a game that we want to call this one This or That, the Monster Edition. So we'll give you two options. You pick which one. If you want to give us a little bit of a reason why you picked that, we're all in. Does that work?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're going to start with the first one. Scruff or no scruff?
Like the hair or the app?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm currently not on any apps. I've taken a break.
Congratulations.
Only using, thank you. I'm only using apps when traveling.
Love that.
But if I download an app, it's Scruff. But also Scruff. I like a feeling of Velcro on my face, beard to beard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
definitely
like
Scruff.
that. Are you more of someone who's for the Baroness or for the maid?
The maid.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if my actress heard me say that, she'd be livid. But the maid, Stanley's a hoot. He's crazy, and the performer playing him is insane. It's gonna be great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the ghost or the vampire?
Well, the vampire is sexier, right?
Mm.
Everyone loves a sexy vampire, but I think ghosts a vampire, sexy vampire.
Yeah, you were trying to defend the
Ghosts can be
ghost and you
anything.
pivoted.
Yeah, I can't justify a ghost. They're scary, spooky, but vampires are sexy.
And they also don't have penises.
Ghosts?
Well, it could.
I don't know. I like pictures Casper where you get the little thing at the bottom. It's like a little triangle that's just wavy.
Oh, God.
Brian,
Yeah, I
if
guess.
you're
But then,
picturing
what do you
Casper,
I got picturing
if
Casper
you're
because
picturing Casper,
well,
if you're
Devin
picturing
Sawa.
Casper, you're
Devin
definitely
Sawa is my
but
jam.
you're definitely in the Ghostine files right now.
that's a child ghost.
Casper's a child ghost. Oh, I can get us out of this, Brian. Watch.
No, I'm good. I'll stay.
It's been so great talking to you. I need to go.
Gotta go.
This is bad PR. No, Matt, are you a pitcher or catcher?
Uh,
Or verse, or side, or neither?
Or you don't play
I'm good.
sports.
Or you're not a sports guy?
I don't do anything. I'm gonna say like a side catcher.
I see that. I see you, side
Mhm.
catcher.
Yeah.
Is that
I
a
do
position?
catch. It is now.
Brian, this is a safe space.
It is a safe space.
Is
Do we
that a
prefer-
thing? Who are you?
I know.
Listen, do you prefer chest or butt?
A chest. I mean, who
Mm.
doesn't love a butt? But I love like a big.
Love it.
Because then it's usually attached. If you have like a big, strong chest, it's usually attached to like big arms, which I'm very much
Yes.
into. I love them.
Yeah,
Okay.
to carry the big chest. Are you a shower or a bath guy?
Okay, so I love baths a whole lot. But yeah. I used to work at Lush Cosmetics. Do you know Lush Cosmetics?
Yeah.
I lived in San Francisco for 15 years. I know Lush.
Okay.
I love Lush.
Yeah. Like I used to work there, so I became like a bath person working at Lush. And so I still take like bubble baths from there. I love to, but also I have to shower after. And then
What's your favorite Lush bath bomb?
There was one called there was one called GeoFizz, and it was like a little green one, but it had like eucalyptus in it and like sea salt, and it was really cute. But they don't have it anymore.
Discontinued.
But
So
that
these
sounded like something
names.
John would order a dozen of right now.
I'm already Googling it, and I'm on that.
I need
I'm
a
about to spend
GeoFizz.
way
Can I
too
please
much
have a
money
GeoFizz?
on eBay
You
for
said
this.
eucalyptus and sea salt. He's
Yeah.
it's added to
Hey.
cart.
Yeah.
It was great.
Do you
Buy now,
prefer
one.
correct? Do you prefer the leopard print or the solid black?
Oh, I don't know. Is the leopard print because of my headshot? Is that why we're bringing up the leopard print? I
Maybe.
think so. I love that shirt. That's a vintage
It's a cute
shirt. But
shirt.
you know what? I'm gonna say leopard print because it's fun. But also as like a theater director, I have to be, all.
Mm.
I mean, the leopard print could be in celebration of your new kitty.
That's true. That's true. Wherever, but
Wherever
she's
she is.
it's a
somewhere.
great shirt. Yeah,
that
I almost
terror.
wore that today, and I was like, wait, no, people have seen me in that. Or
Yeah, you've already worn it before, Matt. Don't do it again.
burn it now, throw it away.
So, when you're not wearing your leopard print shirt, are you wearing briefs or a jock strap underneath? Or is it boxers?
Jockstrap.
Yeah,
I do love
jock
my
strap for
jocks.
sure.
Yeah.
They're so comfortable, aren't they?
They are comfortable, and yeah, I just can't like in my head. I'm counting. I think I have more jock straps than I do any other type of underwear. So jock
Naturally.
straps. Yeah, of
Collector.
course.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
collector.
Do you prefer the subtle creep or the jump scare?
The subtle creep. Well, hold on. Too fast because I love a haunted house. I love a jump scare, but it wouldn't be the same without a subtle creep leading up to it. So I'm
You're
gonna
a
have to say a subtle
maximalist. I
creep.
like it. Yeah. Okay, last one. Old Hollywood or modern sleaze?
Can I
There's
do
just
old
something
Hollywood
about it.
sleaze?
Oh, even
Oh.
better. What was
Oh,
the gas
yeah.
station HBO one where all the boys were sluts? Do you remember this one? That was recent? No?
No, but
Hollywoodland?
Oh,
Hollywoodland.
Hollywood. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Hollywood,
That's what I'm.
the Ryan Murphy one.
Yes, that
Yes.
was
That was
good.
fun. That got
I'm
me through
thinking,
like a month of the pandemic.
me
Yes.
too. And I'm thinking that's old Hollywood sleaze to me, and I want more of that in my life.
Absolutely. All these boys like turning
Uh,
tricks for Patty LuPone.
Oh.
what can't she do if she's turning tricks at her age? I mean, the women. I mean,
I'm not.
she,
Listen, Ryan Murphy is a whole other conversation in himself, but I did like that show. So
Yes.
and we would love to have you back for a Ryan Murphy conversation. That's for sure. I have to say, Matt, this has been an absolute blast.
yeah, thanks for having
And
me.
Chosen Family, if you are in LA between April 16th and 25th, you need to get your tickets for Monster Party at monsterpartyshow.com. He's only selling 50 tickets a night, so don't sleep on it. Matt, we're curious, where else can people find you and your amazing work?
Well, you can find me on my website. It's just matttorado.com. It's currently going under renovations, so there'll be a brand new flashy site probably by the time this airs.
Hey.
Perfect.
So you can find me at matttorado.com. Obviously Monster Party Show, and then you can follow me on Instagram. That's the only social media platform that I'm on. At @MattDorado_, and then at Monster Party Show.
Beautiful.
Matt,
That's it.
thank you for bringing your deranged genius to the pod. We can't wait to see you turn Rita House upside down. And Chosen Fam, we love you. Stay loud and keep laughing. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This was Out Loud and Laughing.
We're available everywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, iHeart, or wherever.